Today it's time for what should be a very interesting match of StarCraft 2. We find ourselves on glittering ashes, and in the bottom left-hand corner of the map, playing with the red Protoss probes, we have one of the most popular Zerg players in the world, and she goes by the name of Scarlett. Now, I know that Scarlett likes to mix in some Protoss from time to time, but it's been at least a year or so since I've last seen her play some, so I'm excited to find out exactly how good she currently is. There have been a couple of occasions in the past where she even brought it out in premier tournaments. So this match is from a recent ESL Open Cup in one of the earlier rounds. So I guess we'll find out together exactly where she's currently at. Her opponent in the opposite corner, playing here with the pink Zerg drones from Australia, we have none other than PiG. Now PiG, of course, a very prominent StarCraft caster and content creator. He used to be a professional Zerg player back in the day. These days, he's still a Grandmaster random, so he's going to be a very strong opponent for sure. Now, if memory serves me well, I think that Scarlett primarily mixes in Protoss whenever she doesn't really feel like playing a ZVZ. So the alternative to, I guess, playing a PVZ here is playing a Zerg versus Zerg against PiG. And the thing is, with Zerg versus Zerg, you can not really make a whole lot of mistakes, right? I mean, if I were to, like, for example, queue up a ladder game and I play Zerg and I go up against, like, I don't know, a Serral or a Raynor or, like, you know, one of the best players on the planet, I will go ahead and play the nastiest, dirtiest, cheesiest build I could ever come up with. Even if I know that overall it's not going to have a build order win of like more than 10%, I know that if I play a straight up game against any of those top tier players, the chances of me winning are far lower than 10%, right? So I'll just play the nastiest build ever. And in ZVZ, the margin for error is tiny. I guess at the very least when you play Protoss versus Zerg, you can probably, you know, make the game go the distance a little bit easier. You can like put down shield batteries and make wall-offs and all that, so I think Scarlett will probably at the very least be able to live for a little while longer and force the macro game. Don't get me wrong, and I don't mean this with any disrespect towards PiG either, but I'm sure PiG agrees with me that if Scarlett decided to pick up Zerg for this particular match, it would probably be a little bit more one-sided, but it wouldn't be unheard of that PiG could win. You know what I mean? Like, PiG is still going to be a Grandmaster player. He can still play a very nasty, very crisp all-in if he wants to, even though he mostly likes to play macro. I mean, everyone's got to do a little bit of cheese from time to time, right? Anyways, it's going to be a good old Stargate opener right here. By the way, the Scarlett fans call her the Queen of Blades. I guess we're going to have to call her the Queen of Psyblades now? Or is that... No, maybe that's not entirely fair. But yeah, I do know she mixed it in against... I think this was DRG way back in the day. A super cheesy game in a premier tournament. And, well, spoiler alert, this is like a decade ago, but she ended up winning. I think this was like an 8-gate Zealot all-in with charge or something nasty along those lines with like 32 probes. Anyways, PiG, of course, a very analytical caster, a very good commentator, and he knows very well what all of the timings are going to be like, so he gets into the main base right now with a couple of Zerglings, rallying them in the correct location, knowing very well what to expect right here from a Protoss player in the earliest stages of the match. So far, he scouts out brilliantly exactly what it is that the Protoss player here is going for. So it's going to be a Void Ray opener. Fair enough. This is, of course, played in the new multiplayer balance patch. So, you know, Void Rays are a little bit more expensive. They do take a little bit longer to build, but, I mean, on a map like Glittering Ashes, it's still going to be very nice. I mean, this is good. Like, well played right here by PiG so far. Not really making any mistakes as far as I can tell. I mean, I haven't been paying very close attention to all of the details and the larva spending and the queen inject and all that. But so far, at the very least, he seems to be on point. Okay. Yep. Nicely done. Normally, this Nexus goes up at 345. We're already 4 minutes into the game. Another probe is going to have to build that Nexus. All right. It is going to be an Oracle here as a follow-up, as well as a robotics facility. What are we going to do, Mr. PiG? He decides to go for a lair. Fair enough. We'll probably see a Roach Warren then in a little bit as well. Maybe an Evolution Chamber, and we'll see what kind of mid-game he wants to be playing. There is a Spore Crawler at the third base, but okay. The Queens haven't actually connected the bases with Creep yet. I think that Creep Tumor should probably already be connecting the Natural to the third base. Some sloppy clicking down here by Scarlett as well. Only gets one drone kill. Oracle takes about as much base damage as it can as well. Only 10 health remains. Considering that was only protected right there by a single Spore, that was some clean micro there by PiG. keeping the vast majority of the drones well, around and, yeah, shoveling them between the different mineral patches, allowing them to stay alive for a little while longer. 4th hatchery is coming up. Zerg, for now, just happily droning up. We haven't seen... Okay, we're gonna go straight into a Spire. I was gonna say, we haven't really seen any tech structure yet. So it's gonna be, I guess, as many gases here as you can gather here in the earlier stages of the game. And then straight into probably Ultralisks. PiG did decide to cut a corner, though. Because if I'm not mistaken, yeah, there's no Roachborn or anything along those lines. Obviously, there are quite a few build orders where Protoss decides to go for like a big 3-base all-in. Or, you know, where the 3rd base is essentially a fake. But Scarlett not going for any of that. Interesting wall off right here, by the way, at the front. Normally, we don't see a 2nd pylon over here, but an extra gateway instead. If I was PiG right now, I'll just say it, I would probably think about going for a bailing bust. This seems like a very juicy pylon to bust, and I mean, yeah, just a couple of, you know, blowy boys right over there, bam. Go through the wall off, get into the bases. At this stage in the game, obviously, Protoss doesn't have that much of an army anyways. Not gonna happen, though, here in this match. A Roach Warren, by the way, did start up here eventually. PiG, so far, not getting the Spire scouted, I don't think, no. Scarlett hasn't even seen the natural, so that Spire is going to finish up. PiG doesn't really have that much gas, though. Alright, gas is over at the 3rd base, not fully saturated. The natural also obviously wasn't saturated there for a good while. So, in the end, even though the Spire is very quick, it does get scouted here, too. And, well, I guess that at this point, PiG isn't really going to be able to make that many mutas in the first place anyways. Scarlett scouts this, immediately plants down a 2nd Stargate and starts up the Phoenix production. I wonder if PiG is even gonna go for mutas at this point. I don't think so. No. Like, you kind of want to... When you're gonna go mutas, you kind of want to make, like, 8 of them right away, right? If you can. When you're only making, like, 4, it doesn't really do much anyways, and especially if you get spotted. I guess the Spire already has done its damage at this point, forcing out the +1 flyer attack, forcing out a 2nd Stargate, forcing out a bunch of Phoenixes. Obviously, all of those units are still quite helpful, but... Oh, you know what? Maybe PiG is thinking the same thing. Make the Banes. Never mind. Decided to spend the gas on +1/+1 instead, yeah. So, the Spire has been built, no upgrades there. PiG just happily macroing up here. Even the Oracle goes down. We're gonna go straight into a Hive. A 5th base right here, all the way on the left side of the map, and apparently just as much macro as he can play. I kind of like this, though. The fact that PiG decides to play full-on macro against someone of the caliber of Scarlett. I mean, you know, it's not easy. It's very easy to, yeah, just pick the easy way out, I suppose. These Zerglings will probably not be able to kill that. No, there was still enough energy right there as well for another force field. Those couple of Archons having a grand old time as well. They'll be able to kill that easy peasy. At the same time, a few Adepts over here on the right side of the map. That's probably the Adepts out of that prism. Yep. They ended up getting picked off, but 4 drones go down as well. Alright, so 8 minutes. Both players mostly just tiptoeing around each other, not really committing to anything in particular. Relatively laid back game. Maybe this is just me being a bad late game Zerg player, okay? But honestly, this makes me a bit uncomfortable. The fact that PiG is just sort of allowing Scarlett to do whatever she likes up to this point in the game without really a whole lot of counterattack damage. I mean, a man can only lose so many times in the late game, okay? I have lost so many times against late game Protoss that I play probably a little bit too aggressively against Protoss right now, but I really do feel like there's, oh my god, there's an opportunity to attack Protoss before the later stages of the game. What seemed like a pretty good run by. Yeah, probably isn't gonna do much. Nah, I don't think so. Not really a whole lot. Anyways, straight into an Ultralisk cavern. We do have +1 armor done as well. No +2/+2 started up just yet, but there he goes. 6 Nexus coming up here as well for Scarlett, who's just playing full-on macro too. Not going for any timing attacks or anything along those lines. Just straight up macro right here from the Canadian Protoss. That feels dirty. Saying Canadian Protoss when referring to Scarlett. The Zotos. The Pro-Erk. I don't know. We need a new name. The Hybrid? Ooh. They could make a storyline about, like, Protoss and Zergs merging together. Maybe, I don't know, Zeratul can do some foreshadowing or something like that. That'd be pretty cool. Anyways, 7 Ultralisks. All right, let's go. I don't know what we're gonna do with them, but like, I am here for it. 7 Ultralisks coming up. Chitinous plating, +2/+2, adrenal glands. PiG is basically planning to make a huge ground army. Whereas in the meantime, on the other side of the map, Scarlett is adding on Stargates right now, as well as a fleet beacon. So we're gonna go up to 4 Stargates here. Dark Shrine, I mean, she's basically building whatever she likes. Killing a hatchery right there on the left side of the map too. Okay, so we have 2 Infestors, 2 Vipers, 6 Queens, and then 5 Ultralisks. How exactly is that gonna go against carriers? Well, Protoss probably won't be attacking with the carriers for another little while. Generally, Protosses will just sit back with that carrier army and wait until it's maxed out. I would love to see continued +2 production right now as well for those air weapons. There it goes. Okay. Anyways, I don't think the Ultras are really gonna be something that Scarlett expects, though. I mean, she has seen the what's it called? The Ultralisk cavern right over there with the Observer. So at the very least, she knows that the opportunity is there. But normally we see a couple of them, not like 7. Ultras actually do pack a punch. There are quite a few Immortals in the mix, though. So 4 Immortals, actually. Yeah, they're gonna do quite well. Okay, well, that's nice. Okay, one of the Infestors there does get picked off. Second Infestor also targeted down nicely right there by Scarlett. But she does lose 18 workers here. At the same time, there's a Zergling Ultra Flood in the Natural Expo. Ultra mostly derping out, but whenever it does attack, it does deal quite a bit of damage. Defensive Dark Templar warped in right now. Trying to make the best of the situation, and honestly, so far, I mean, the units are mostly just derping around each other. Robo facility there, not really getting another unit out, it seems, but at the same time, there is another push all the way at the 5th base of the Protoss player. These Ultras are starting to plow through all of the big units, though. Archons are gone, and sure, the carriers need to be dealt with, but obviously, PiG can just make a bunch of Corruptors here and probably be just fine. For now, Scarlett's main objective is to try and keep these bases alive. At the same time, though, a few of the Zealots apparently were sent around the map to deal some damage too, which I do like. So 14 drones have already gone down, and I don't think that's going to be the last of it. Defensive Dark Templar actually turned out to be very, very helpful. But PiG has done a bunch of damage on the other side of the map. Yeah, 37 probes have gone down. He's got a good amount of money here. Not as many workers as you'd probably like to have, though. I would love to see another round of drones once again. The few of the Phoenixes here also being annoying. Here's the Corruptor showing up, by the way. I do think we want to target fire down carriers. Okay. Alright, there's a lot of chaos around the map right now. Zerglings, okay, going into the main base. Natural Expo of Scarlett is actually gone, and that means that the main base is very exposed. Honestly, this is where all of the infrastructure of the Protoss player is at. Now with the static defense gone, and a lot of these structures soon to be unpowered, what exactly do you do here if you're Scarlett? Well, first off, you send in the Dark Templar towards the left side of the map. Ultras over here, also taking care of the probes at the 3rd base location. PiG has just killed an additional 43 workers. Scarlett only with 35 probes actually at this point, starting to fall behind in the supply count. An Overseer is now also up above, given the detection right over here, so indeed the main base can continuously be destroyed. Dark Shrine will be killed too, yeah. And now a recall is going to be forced, so I think eventually Scarlett is going to be able to clear all of this out. But the carriers are needed over here. I mean, that would be the moment, I guess, to, you know, try and go in once again. You know, with the Ultralisk right here up to one of the northern bases. Anyways. PiG losing a bunch of drones at home, so he's going to be forced to remake those, but I actually really do like this situation for him right now. Taking care of the natural, taking care right there of most of the main base, although, he'll probably finish this off with a future attack wave. Most of the workers have gone down at the 5th as well as the 3rd, and Scarlett is now basically, yeah, forced to the left side of the map. That means that PiG indeed can take the bases on the right side. I don't think there's really going to be that much here for the Protoss player to counterattack with, other than maybe a couple of Dark Templar or maybe a group of Zealots. Alright, well, the DTs have done well this game. Usually when we see a Dark Shrine, it's because of offensive play, right? But I think most of the DTs in this game have been warped in defensively, and, well, they have been very useful on the offense afterwards as well. Oh my god. Not gonna lie, I actually expected this game to be relatively one-sided in favor of Scarlett. Obviously, like, you know, people always ask, like, who's the best random player in the world, right? Who's the best Zerg, who's the best Terran, who's the best Protoss, who's the best random? The thing is, the best random player in the world is probably, I don't know, Serral or something, right? Like, maybe Maru or Clem or something. Like, one of the top-tier players. They're probably also the best random player in the world just because they're really good at video games, right? So even though Scarlett is primarily a Zerg player, she's still going to be a fantastic Terran and Protoss too. She doesn't even really need to play it that often because, you know, mechanics carry over quite well. Now, this was a nice hold, actually, for Scarlett, keeping that one alive. At the same time, though, yes, Zerglings back in the main base for more. Great multitasking here by PiG. Yeah, playing a pretty fast game as well here, all things considered. I'm surprised with how effective those Ultras have been this game so far. Really good stuff. Scarlett's main goal at this point is to build up the Death Bowl. She's got 4 carriers, 7 Archons, and a Mama ship. I think that's probably what she's trying to get done right now. Just try and go for the ultimate Protoss force and then hope for the best. I like the addition of an, yeah. Ooh, we're actually going to go triple Robo Facility here. It seems that PiG is not letting go of the Ultralisk button. So if that's going to be the case and there's going to be more and more Ultralisks coming out, I definitely agree with the idea to add on some more Immortals. There's a nice group of Corruptors as well, though. Not as many as you would like. You probably want to have twice as many, but at this rate, we'll get there eventually. Okay, okay. Since the carriers are in the main base, PiG really wants to see if he can potentially pick those off, but Scarlett, smelling that something's not right, she decides to bring those units back up together. Oh my god, that would have actually been a game-winning move. If these units would have shown up ever so slightly sooner, pick off the 4 carriers for free? I mean, at that point, I think Zerg could just go for non-stop counterattacks. Never actually face the Archon Immortal army, but just keep counterattacking. There's pretty much no way that Protoss is gonna win that base race, right? Okay, main base getting destroyed. Corruptors with their caustic spray ability take care of whatever they can. Zerglings are gonna take care of most of the pylons too, and that's the main base destroyed. Scarlett, though, not really adding on any additional Stargate units. So even though this kind of looks like a Stargate or a Skytol's army, it's really not. It's like a Groundtol's army supported by 4 carriers. Normally, the carrier is like the main unit in the army, but really, this is Archon Immortal. We're talking 8 Archons right now. 3 more Immortals are on the production tab too. They're going to be added to the already, I think it was 5 that were out. It's a very strong army. I think you need Brute Lords against this, don't you? I think, something like Brute Lords would not be a bad choice. We have a Greater Spire, PiG. I would love it if you decided to add on like 10 Brutes. 10 Brute Lords, I think, would actually be amazing. We need like 10 Brute Lords and then like, I don't know, maybe 15 Corruptors up in the air with some static defense, and I think you can destroy this Protoss army. That being said, Scarlett has actually still got a very good eco. Despite the fact that she's lost how many workers? 100! Alright, nicely done by PiG. She's lost a lot. Oh, careful, careful, careful. No, 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 no. You don't want to be flying your flying units. Oh my god, that's all of the Vipers gone. You don't want to be flying those units over the splash damage of those Archons. Immediately, PiG starts up a couple additional Vipers once again. More Ultras too, but I think we need some actual counter to like the Archon Immortal force. Like, Ultras aren't going to cut it. I think we need Brutes. I mean, the problem is with Brute Lords, you're definitely still going to need something to deal with the carriers too. Greater Spire at this point just got picked off. Scarlett making a beeline straight for that Greater Spire. Probably thinking the same thing that I am right now. At this point, I think you're probably better off as a Zerg player to not fight that Protoss army head on. Oh my god. Okay, Scarlett has finally made her way across the map. She's right on top of the natural of the Zerg player too, which is where a ton of the Ultras are being produced. Look at that. Oh my god. The Ultra got absolutely destroyed. At the same time, though, 4 of the bad boys are still on the other side of the map, taking care of the 3rd base of the Protoss player. Main base, well, still not really restarted anyways. Most of the pylons are gone, so I guess it doesn't really matter all too much anyways. The problem, though, with all of the production being in the natural, the main base, and those hatcheries over here, is that those units can't really go anywhere. Well, I guess the Corruptors and the Vipers can fly away, but everything else, it's going to be very hard to escape. Are we going to fight this? Okay, the Mama ship actually just got abducted. Nice moves right there as well by PiG, grabbing one of the carriers. Dude, imagine if we had like 10, like 8, like 4. We don't even need that many, but imagine if there were some Brute Lords available at this stage in the game. 2 more. Okay, well, that's the second and the third Ultralisk cavern in this match. Maybe PiG was doing one of his challenges, you know, where he's like, okay, I'm gonna make only Ultras this game. I'm gonna win against Scarlett making Ultralisks. At this point, though, the Immortal count is pretty good. And yeah, that's all of those Ultras taken care of. Despite the fact that PiG was in a very good situation this game, taking care of more than 100 probes, I've got a feeling that Scarlett actually managed to claw her way back into it. I mean, if you look at the supply count at this point, there's definitely a good amount of stuff available right here for the Canadian Protoss player. And despite the fact that Scarlett ended up losing her natural, her third, her main base and everything too, she's like, okay, don't worry about it. I'll just go ahead and rebuild all my infrastructure on the left side of the map, and I'll probably turn out to be just fine. We're now talking 14 Immortals and 8 Archons. That is not the usual amount that you make. The main reason is, you know, Great Aspire units, right? Like, you can quite literally counter any Protoss ground army with, like, I mean, other than, like, maybe Mass Stalker, but you can counter most of the Protoss ground armies with just, like, 8 Brute Lords. That will do, yeah, really, really well. And in this case, I guess PiG didn't make the right army. He's dealing a lot of damage, though. Taking care of 2 more Nexi. The problem is, there's too much Protoss. GG, well played. Scarlett obtains the victory, but definitely not in the way that I expected her to.